The Sandy Bay Football Club was an Australian rules football club based in Sandy Bay, Tasmania. The team participated in the Tasmanian Football League from 1945 to 1997. Club history. The club was founded in November 1944 as a result of a meeting called by the late Bill Barrick at Rest Point Riviera, now Rest Point Casino. With World War II in its final stages, it became clear that some former TANFL clubs would not survive, and as a result, the league's constitution was amended to provide for district football. In 1945, 4 clubs, Sandy Bay, North Hobart, Newtown and Hobart, took part in the revamped competition. Sandy Bay adopted the colours of royal blue and white. The playing jumper was royal blue and white with a white seagull on the breast. This was used by the club between 1945 to 1966 and from 1967 onwards. The club wore a blue and white vertical striped playing jumper. Sandy Bay was given permission by the Hobart City Council to use Queenborough Oval in Sandy Bay as its home ground, and a weatherboard changer room was erected on the site of where the Graham Mackey stand and pavilion would be built 20 years later. Sandy Bay's emblem was the seagull, generally thought to be named after all the seagulls that hung around the waterfront suburb where the club was located. Sandy Bay participated in the Tasmanian Football League with a strong degree of success in its first 3 decades in the competition, participating in 15 TFL Grand Finals between 1945 to 1978, including 8 consecutive Grand Finals from 1971 to 1978, and winning the Tasmanian State Premiership twice in 1946 and 1971. But after losing the 1979 TANFL preliminary final by 19 points to Clarence, the club's era of dominance was over. Another problem looming for Sandy Bay was that during their remarkable period of sustained success, during the 1970s, the demographic of their area had begun to change to a more upmarket occupancy, and as a result, their supporter base withered away badly during this time. Home games at Queenborough Oval reflected this trend, where their average home attendances had fallen from a 3,823 average in 1970 to just a 995 average by 1980. It was during this time that the Hobart Mercury and other sports commentators began to headlines calls for the club to vacate Queenborough Oval and relocate to either the North Hobart Oval or into the Kingborough region, south of Hobart. Despite improving attendances at home in 1981 and 1982, the Seagulls made the move to North Hobart Oval in 1983, where they played all of their home fixtures at the ground. Buoyed by increased attendances, the club made it all the way to the preliminary final, where it suffered a 53-point loss to Norfolk. But the success of the 1983 season proved to be mirage, as the club sunk back down the ladder, struggling for attendances. With the beginning of the new TFL statewide league competition in 1986, the Seagulls made a permanent return to Queenborough, and with solid home crowds, the club had a brilliant season. At one stage the Seagulls won 13 matches in succession under Andy Bennett, leading them into their first grand final since 1978. But the Seagulls' juggernaut stopped in spectacular fashion on grand final day, where they trailed badly all day en route to a 32-point defeat at the hands of Glenorchy. From 1987 onwards, it was a case of doom and gloom for the struggling Seagulls. Their supporter base was continuing to fall and the club was struggling financially, despite a strong finish to the 1990 season, in which they made it to the first semi-final and held a 38-point lead early in the match before being overrun by eventual Premier Hobart by 33 points. The bottom fell out of the club only 18 months later. During the 1992 season, Sandy Bay required an immediate cash injection of $70,000 in the middle of the season in order to keep the club afloat until the end of the season. A Save the Bay campaign was hastily organized and charity matches took place in order to raise funds for what was now an ailing club. After various TFL and media-driven merger attempts over a number of years, the Bay moved back to North Hobart Oval in 1994, when the club made its last finals appearance. After finishing second on the ladder during the roster season, they would make it to the preliminary final, but the club suffered from a dreadful start to the match and despite a second-half rally, ultimately bowed out to New Norfolk by 26 points. From 1995 the Seagulls battled on as more merger attempts were foisted upon them, but no more success came its way. In 1997, President Bill Sorrell announced that the club would be wound up at the completion of the season. The Seagulls' final home match at Queenborough took place on Sunday, the 27th of July 1997, when they hosted Glenorchy. Sandy Bay were beaten convincingly by 101 points. 3 weeks later it would be all over for the Sandy Bay Football Club, their final match taking place at Bellerive Oval on 16 August 1997, when they suffered a 76-point defeat to Clarence amid emotional scenes and a standing ovation from the crowd as they left the ground for the final time. A short time later, the club was wound up and closed down. Summary. Home ground, Queenborough Oval and North Hobart Oval. Established 1945. Playing colours, blue and white. Emblem, Seagulls. Club theme song, Seagulls. Seagulls. That's our name. Quote. Tune. California Here I Come. Motto, the game above all. Affiliations, TANFL and TFL Statewide League. 1945 to 1997. Total matches played 1037. 522, 502, 13. Asterisk includes 12 matches played in state preliminary finals, state grand finals and Winfield Statewide Cup. 570. Statistics. Club record games holder. 315 Bobley. Record home attendance. 7,976 Sandy Bay v North Hobart at North Hobart Oval on 19 April 1965. 6,070 Sandy Bay v Glenorchy at Queenborough Oval on 9 May 1964. Record match attendance. 20,775 Sandy Bay v New Norfolk at North Hobart Oval on 12 September 1964. 1964 TANFL Grand Final. Club record score. 30.12. 192. V Launceston 9.14. 68. At North Hobart Oval on 21 August 1994. Honours. Club. Tasmanian Football League. Premierships. 8. 1946. 1952. 1964. 1971. 1972. 1976. 1977. 1978. Runners-up. 8. 1945. 1953. 1958. 1963. 1973. 1974, 1975, 1986. Tasmanian State Premierships. 2. 1946, 1971. Individual medal winners. William Leach medalists. 1946 Ernie Pilkington. 1950 Bill Smart. 1953 Terry Cashin. 1956 Bob Lewis. 1959 Murray Steele. Tied. 1963 Jeff Witten. 1969 Roger Steele. 1970 Roger Steele, 1971 Rodney Olsen, 1973 Rodney Olsen, 1982 Tony Martin, 1983 Tony Martin, 1986 Sandy Bennett, 1988 Michael Seddon, tied. 1995 Jeff Wiggins, tied. George Watt Medal winners, 1947 A. Neil Clark, 1950 R. Toulmin, 1951 R. Toulmin, 1961 B. Beckett, 1969 L. Pilkington, 1976 John Mundy, 1978 Henry Pastor, 1986 Craig Randall and Mark Radford, v. Agird Medal winners, 1975 Michael Seddon, 1980 Alistair Davies, 1982 Peter Sherwood, 1983 Robert Newton, 1985 Sam Sinnott, D. R. Plaister Medal winners, 1987 Paul Burnell, Lefroy Medal winners, 1954 Gordon Bowman, 1959 Rex Geard, 1971 Kerry Doran, 1981 Chris Saunders, 1982 Tony Martin. Competition leading goal kickers, TANFL and TFL statewide league leading goal kickers. 1947 Lance Collins, 50. 1948 Ian Westall, 57. 1950 Ian Westall, 83. 1952 Ian Westall, 66. 1954 Ian Westall, 68. 1955 Ian Westall, 88. 1969 Brent Paul Freeman, 51. 1970 Brent Paul Freeman, 67. 1973 Rod Adams, 96. Sandy Bay Football Club. Senior coaches. Bibliography. Club profile at 4 Points Footy. Net. Football. The People's Game, by B. T. Buck Anderton. 2004.